Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to REDCast, the official podcast of the Regional Elite Draft League. This week on the cast, myself and my lovely panel will be covering all the action from week 2 of the league. Joining me this week, only 2 people. First up, we have returning panel host, Mr. Vic of the Houndoom Hercules, Blue Division player. How are you this evening?
Great, and thanks for having me again.
No, welcome back. It's great to see the enthusiasm for you to be returning to the cast so quickly. So much appreciated. And joining him, we have another cast veteran stepping back in for the second season of REDCast. In the Yellow Division, Mr. Lord Zeden of the Tulsa Excadrillers. How are you this evening?
Yo, welcome back to the Regenix Elite Draft League.
Rude.
Basically true.
Now you've just completely thrown me off. Right, anyway. Anyway, so we're going to be reviewing everything that has occurred over the week 2 time period. Starting with the week 2 trades. Some notable trades made pretty much immediately after the draft has occurred over the course of week 1. We'll be covering trades as they come into effect each week, so everything that is announced here should be on the teams, or on the drafts at least, for the second week of play. So starting with the Blue Division, the Belgian Blastoise, coached by Axel Raid, have made a pretty seismic change to their squad. Dropping Raikou, Mimikyu, Mega Steelix and Staraptor for Starmie, Mega Pinsir and Excadrill, dropping their overall draft count to 9, I think.
Yeah, pretty sure it is.
Trading in their bulky Steel and Ground type for another one, but also picking up a lot more offense and some much more solid removal, I think I'd call it.
Yeah, I like how he just immediately got 2 spinners when he got Mega Pinsir, because, well, Pinsir does like it a little bit. Even though it isn't quite necessary for Pinsir, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely more supportive to team members like Huron Black, which are already on the squad as well, so...
I do think he
Go ahead.
I do think that it's a little unfortunate that he just lost his full turn core, like, with his Raptor and his Raikou just gone, but I do like the new changes.
I think the changes are great to gear him towards a more offensive team. But yeah, second to that, the Nimrod Ninetales have also made some pretty big changes to their squad. Dropping Espeon, Klefki, Alolan Raichu and Mega Sharpedo for Mega Diancie, Magnezone and Slowbro. So again, dropping their draft count a little bit, but actually doing a decent job of fixing his squad after whatever mess it was last week.
Yeah, he has an actual good mod now in Mega Diancie, like a tier 1.
Yeah, like a top tier. And then the new bulky water is great, dropped a lot of his reoccurring types and roles from like Mega Sharpedo. I keep calling it Sharpedo.
Sure.
I keep reading it really weird.
I keep thinking you're gonna say Sharpedo.
Sharpedo. Mega Sharpedo. As well as getting rid of like the likes of Espeon and Alolan Raichu, a lot of roles that were just like duplicated in the squad, and then just bringing in the Slowbro, which is something entirely new, and Magnezone as well, which should have some niche usage. I'm not personally a big fan, but I think it's better than what he already had.
Yeah, this is certainly better than he already had. Good is very different, I'm sorry Zach, but your team is still not amazing, but it's certainly a good start.
Yeah.
And I think you can at least get 1 win.
It's the best
maybe.
It's the best possible changes to have made, I think.
If I could make one little point, I'd like to say that I really like teams that have a bit less members, but each member brings more to the table. I really think sometimes it's like a little bit of versatility, but having threats that are harder to prep for also increases the prep your opponent has to do.
Yeah,
So
True.
my thought.
absolutely.
And I really like the Magnetism plus Mega Diancie core.
Yeah, I think that'll be really good for removing the real big problems that Mega Diancie has in the forms of a lot of the less bulkier steel types,
Yeah, for sure.
and a lot of the ones that revenge. And then finally, to round out Blue Division's trades this week, we have the Toronto Tyranitars, coached by Blitz, who have dropped their Licklicky for Golurk in an attempt to actually give themselves a Stealth Rock setter.
And a ground type.
And a ground type. I'm not massively big on like doubling or tripling the ghost typing they've got. I think he's got like Gourgeist, Rotom, and now Golurk. But
It's a bit problematic for him.
It's a bit odd, but
yeah, it is a bit odd.
at least he has a rocker.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's too much to say about that. Moving on in the yellow division, we've also had probably some less impactful changes to teams. Starting off, the London Garchomp, coached by Specs King, have opted to remove their Go-Goat in favour of an Avalugg at a low tier trade, actually picking up some half decent hazard removal for once. So, you know, that's already improved a decent team, I think.
Yeah, it might come one game. Ooh.
Maybe.
Are you calling Avalugg half decent hazard removal?
Yes. No, I think
Fine,
it's
I was just
quarter
making sure,
decent.
but
Quarter decent. Maybe
Oof.
at best.
Oof.
or less.
Yeah, probably less.
It can do the job in a pinch if you have nothing better. I'll leave it there.
He has nothing better, or nothing better that he'd like to hold removal, because Hydreigon sure doesn't.
Yup.
I understand.
Following up from that, the Vancouver Milotics have actually made the biggest changes to their season so far, dropping Blissey, Crawdaunt, and Prinplup for Miltank, Zoroark, and Empoleon in some quite unique changes. He's gone from he's evolved his Prinplup and then downgraded Blissey and Crawdaunt, which is where I'm quite surprised to see him drop Crawdaunt after the amount of work it did in the opening week, because it just like completely O-code stuff, and I think it's a very underrated mon. But
I think it works out very well for him, because now he actually has a defensive steel type before he only had Excadrill. And I feel like for his team, Miltank is better than Blissey, because Blissey I feel is better for really defensive teams. And Miltank can be a little better on bulky offense because of the price, I feel.
yeah,
And Zoroark is just...
I don't think he's lost a great deal.
Yeah.
But I think he's gained some valuable stuff. And Zoroark's good for the mind games as well, as long as you can play around it properly. So there's benefits to it all.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Magic Guards, coached by Recon Jack, have also made a trade this week, swapping in their Toxapex for a Starmie. So now we lose the cancerous-looking Clefpex core for Starmie and better removal. I don't know, I've not really got much to say about that trade. It's just it's just a Starmie, isn't it? It's extra hazard removal, it's a good special attacker, it's fast.
Yeah, I can't say too
Change
much
that-
about... Oh,
Not only him, but everyone around in the league facing him will like.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Certainly people are going to prefer facing off against the Starmie than they are facing off against the Pex.
I mean, in a way, I do like it a little bit, because before his speeders were absolutely garbage.
And now they're slightly better. They're still
Yeah.
optimal, but it's an improvement. And then the UNC Wingull as well have also made a low tier trade to drop Dusknoir for Kecleon. Not really too sure what that's about. 2 mons.
It's very important.
gonna come to like a square root of maybe 3 games total if they're lucky.
No.
But
I put a lot of work in the past, like a lot.
I drafted Dusnor in Season 4, you remember that, Bragg? And, well, the only time you want to bring Dusnor is if you want to meme.
yeah, and then it still crits your Hydreigon and wins.
Yep.
Well, we'll see what Johnson does with it. But he's dropped, well actually no he won't because he's dropped it. But we'll see what he does with Kecleon, because that's another mon that I've had like nightmares about. Because I just don't know what it does, but
It's very specially bulky and a decently reliable rocker, I
remember
guess.
it broom swept me one time.
Oh.
And you hope that
That's
the opponent doesn't have a clue about what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a clue either. And maybe it does something and maybe not. And when it does something, it does a lot.
It's got that budget protein as well. The one
Yep.
protein legal mon. And
I've seen Mike trash, I think it was Will, Maccabi, with a Kecleon, and that stuck on my mind forever. Like a full OU team dropped by Kecleon.
Oof.
Sounds fun.
And then
Ask Mike about that.
finally, the New Orleans Pincers, coached by Jay, have opted to drop Volcarona and Gliscor for Dugtrio and Raikou in a, I think what we could all agree on as like a double-edged sword kind of trade. Getting rid of Gliscor as your only ground immunity or resistance on the squad, to patch up the pretty abysmal speed tiers that the squad was suffering from in the opening week.
Okay, first thing I thought was like, I honestly thought they should have just dropped Volcarona for Raikou at first, because Gliscor is really important for his team. And second off, Jay, why did you not listen to me? I wanted to trade with you!
Well, too late now.
Yep.
Right, that covers all the trade for the second week of the league. So shall we move on into the battles?
Yeah.
So we'll start with Blue Division, and we have seen the glorious opening of the Nimrod Ninetales, coached by Zach T, taking on the New Britain Rockruffs, coached by Diet Tight, in a game that ended 2-0 to the Rockruffs, and a game that I don't really have a great deal to say about. I'll start by saying I don't know what that Hitmontop was for, like at all, because I don't think it was carrying Rapid Spin, because Talonflame had Defog.
Yeah.
And it just like was intent on sacking itself for doing 10% to a
Tornadoes, yeah.
Tornadus Therian.
Yeah, this game got me confused on a whole lot of
You have
levels.
Magnezone.
Yeah, that is an incredibly safe switch, but instead just decided he wanted to switch in the Hitmontop for just an easy sack, I guess. I don't know what to say about the game in general, because it was like really standard. Like there was no massive standout plays. Diet Tight just like clicked the buttons he needed to win. He didn't have to do anything particularly aggressive. He didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. The one thing I will give
Go-Go.
Sure.
Yeah, well, the
I did feel like a team preview, like he was incredibly Diancie weak, and that Zach maybe could have profited from that a little bit more. But because I don't think Diancie came out all that much this game,
Yeah,
and
Zach
it just did so much to Tangrowth for the Moonblast. That was insane.
That's because Tangrowth wasn't AV for some reason, or did it have AV knocked off? I don't remember. But
I don't think it had anything knocked
It was,
off.
it was AV, because Magnezone did a lot with Volt Switch.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Thanks.
right.
And I appreciate the Go-Go name a lot.
Oh yeah, Lordzine. Named after the Go itself, getting dropped on its neck. Funnily,
It actually
similar
did put
to
in a
the
lot of
performance
work,
this
like,
season, really, isn't it? Maybe you should get him to rename it to something else. Turn 24, I actually want to give Zach a bit of credit, because Work Up Greninja was a nice tech, and actually did quite a bit of work for him.
I really wish it was Shuriken though.
Yeah, Shuriken would have made it. and I just wish he'd done a little bit more to get a little bit more chip on the Milotic, because that +1 Wartorium Z did like 70% damage, which was just pretty nuts when you think about that's a resisted hit, and Milo's got very good Spadef and HP stats.
Very impressive.
So
That was freaking wild.
yeah, the amount of damage it did was great, but I think ultimately Ninetales just couldn't handle the momentum that the Rockruffs were able to pick up, and in the end it was just a bit too much for him, I think.
Pretty much.
I think that if he had, I would have made personally Talonflame more of a win condition, and here he had it like more of a pivot.
Yeah.
Tight Steam. Talonflame really cleaned up late game.
Yeah, and Diancie wasn't in a position to do it itself, so
Yup.
I don't know. Try again next week, I guess, Zach.
Yep.
Right. Moving on from that game then, the next match that we have up on the review list is the New Jersey Houndoom, coached by Loco Ghoul, versus the Toronto Tyranitars, coached by Blitz, in a game that ended 5-0 to the Toronto Tyranitars. This was a pretty one-sided body bag, I think we can all agree.
Yep.
Loco after...
Slatios came in, problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
As you'd expect. Turn 2, quick noteworthy. The Blitz actually made a really solid prediction. T-Bolt into the main net trick to catch Finny. It's pretty brave play, really.
Yeah, it was a freaking hard play, but like at the same time, perhaps a little obvious. Like you're not staying in, obviously.
But obviously, Loco didn't exactly know whether he was going to click a dragon move or coverage or press earthquake, or anything that Mega Latios can infinitely carry as coverage. So
to say one of the 800 moves that it can learn.
I think a better mid-ground play would have been going to Ferrothorn instead, but I can understand why you'd go to Finny as the obvious safe play. But I think Blitz did well to punish that.
Yeah. I felt like perhaps Loco Ghoul played a little too safe, and I really wanted to see him abuse his Houndoom more, because when you look at Blitz's team, he does not have a single Houndoom switch in.
Yeah.
I guess Sylveon, but like...
Especially
No, that's a sack.
Once,
that's not a switch in.
As long as you hit 2 Fire Blasts, or put it in range of where Sludge Bomb can kill it. But once Sun was up, Houndoom could have definitely done the greatest of work to Blitz's team.
Especially because Weavile was his only revenge killer, and Torkoal was that.
Yeah.
Same with Finny.
Another notable point is that Loco's team just generally struggled with Manaphy, and it cost like 2 very important sacks because he wasn't able to get the chip on it. Because I think like it tanked a Thunderbolt from Manetric after it took out Finny, I want to say.
Tanked a T-Bolt.
Tanked the T-Bolt from Manetric and then took that out as well, so it cost Loco the extra mon that he could have really have done with, especially for pressuring Celesteela and the likes.
Blitz's team, the style he has of like having a lot of setup and a lot of setup danger, and you just can't prep for it all.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, one of them is going to catch you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Overwhelm your opponent with gigantic threats and have a Mega Latios that it doesn't even need to set up to nuke you.
Yeah.
You.
Style.
And then the only other thing is like over predictions as well. There's like 3 instances, turn 19, turn 29, well actually 2 instances where it felt like Loco was trying to overcompensate for problems in the early game by over predicting with Mega Houndoom. So like he lets Rotom take down the spikes and the stealth rocks by doubling on it instead of just attacking it or dark pulsing it. Which I don't know if Rotom was Scarf Defog, but or maybe like Culver, but I think it was definitely problematic to let it just defog for free, because not only then do you lose the spike and the stealth rocks you had set up, which does pressure a lot of Blitz's team, but Rotom's also still alive to come back in and defog in future to make the field safe again, so that's unfortunate. And then turn 29, Dark Pulsed into Sylveon and lets it get a wish up instead of just clicking Sludge Bomb or Fire Blast.
Fire Blast would have nuked it.
You know, Loco admitted that he played subpar. It's not it happens. But
yeah, really.
After having such a really strong week 1, just felt it was like a bit of a
letdown,
a bit of a trip up for him. But hopefully he'll be back on it for the next week.
It's a thing you cannot afford to lose momentum or like stop pressuring, because the moment you give it 10 seconds, it's gonna set up something or completely bring in Mega Latios, and there you go.
Yeah.
So you really have to keep on the momentum, and I think he could have done a better job at keeping momentum.
It's not like it's an easy thing, like, but there were faults in the decisions made, I think.
For sure.
Sometimes sucking them on, like taking damage on, say, Houndoom against, to really weaken the Sylveon to stop it from wish passing.
Mm-hmm.
And because if it wish passes, you lose momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's all there is to really cover in terms of that game. There isn't a mass amount to add to it. So final point.
Also have hindsight on our part. It's really easy with hindsight.
Oh yeah, it's easy to comment with hindsight, of course. But opinions are opinions, aren't they?
Yep.
So should we move on to the next game?
For sure.
Next game saw the Ladner Lanturn, coached by Ian, or Electricity, still haven't found out which he prefers, versus the Adelaide Honchkrows, coached by Bill Standish. A match that ultimately ended up in another body bagging in a 4-0 win to the Ladner Lanturn.
That game was just weird. I literally noted down, I don't know what the fuck to say.
I think that goes between all of us. Vic was telling me pre-cast that like he just didn't have any notes of what to say, and I've got two. I've got two notable things I can say about that game.
Are you complimenting Bill for bringing Secret Power Gang?
No, I'm not. I'm actually going to start by complimenting Ian for the Megazam set. Taunt plus Recover shut down pretty much everything that Bill had to stop it, and then the coverage move, well, Psychic Stab and Shadow Ball coverage tore holes. So two basically a really solid set to have brought versus Bill.
Wait, Taunt Alakazam?
Taunt, Recover, Shadow
Alakazam doesn't learn. I'm 90% sure it doesn't learn the Taunt.
Does it not? Did I miss something?
Yeah, you missed something.
Am I just like... Did I just go insane? No. TT... Yes, it does learn Taunt. You're wrong. I knew I saw Taunt. I knew it.
No, in this game...
build our video, so shout out to that.
Go back to the replay. I mean, I'll...
No, this is a custom game, though. I'm just saying.
Alakazam learns Taunt.
Oh, wait, what the fuck? I thought that was... Okay, I'm sorry.
Alakazam 100% learns Taunt. I've double checked this on Smogon now because
wow, okay,
it
I'm
makes me sound like I've gone insane. So yeah, really cool tech set from him.
Okay, never mind. That was really cool. And
I just said before, but he has a team builder video about his prep against Bill, so shout outs to that and pay me publicity.
Yeah, free publicity, free plugs. Aside from that, Bill just didn't show up, brought really whack sets that just did nothing. Yeah.
Confused the whole audience, so yeah. I mean,
tried to pull off the secret power tech with grassy terrain, which was like the entire premise of his draft.
It's just sad, man.
But it's just not worked, has it? So I don't know. Like, it's just typical Bill, isn't it? He'll bring something absolutely insane, and either it'll work or it'll just absolutely bomb into the ground.
Maybe he'll actually try week 7 or something, like in the P4G.
And just pull a comeback and go on to win it all.
Yeah, and hacks him with a Claydol.
Yeah, something like that. Freeze a tank.
Leave the opponent and click Power Up Punch.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good plan.
But yeah, better luck next week, Bill. Not got a lot to say other than that. Nice one, Ian. You pressed the buttons you needed to win against some very trash tier sets. But nice brings overall.
Sure.
Right, moving on. We have the Atlanta Landorus, coached by Monster, taking on the Houndoom Hercules, coached by our very own panel member Vic. So
that was outright my favorite game of this week.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that this isn't Game of the Week and something else is, in my personal opinion, but...
Thanks, I guess.
I think this was like... Because this was a 1-0 victory to you, and it was super far down to the wire as well, like...
Yeah, just both players. I feel like they played really well. There were actually quite a few predictions. I felt like were wrong and right. And
early game felt pretty standard, testing the waters.
Yeah, the only thing is like the Fire Blast miss, I think, or was it Steam Eruption, one of the two, with Volcanion.
Cost you a second one.
I could have gone into Hoopa and clicked Psychic. The problem is he brought in Mega Charizard and Claim, so I thought I prefer to bring in Volcanion, click Fire Blast, and then he has no switches to a Steam Eruption, so something's going to take the hit.
Yeah, and then you missed and died. Whoops.
That happened. But anyway, it's the game we play.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the freaking, what was it, Citrus or Papa Berry Sandslash was really juicy.
It's really cool tech.
And that was really fun. It's my one-time switching to Charizard X.
Yeah, because what was really cool about it...
Without +1, I can take another hit and force it out.
Yeah. What was cool about it is that it either meant that you took another Dragon Claw and killed it with Earthquake, or forced it to kill itself on Flare Blitz Recoil. So like it was like a win-win situation for
Sandslash.
For you in that situation, yeah.
That thing always puts in the work.
A really nice solid play that I saw on the other end was the play with Skuntank that Monster made. First to foul play the Hooper Unbound, and then to go straight in for the Pursuit Trap to make sure that it wasn't going to be like a recurring threat. He just made sure...
Yeah, that was a really good play.
He just made sure to completely lock Hooper out of the game after that point, so it was gone. So yeah, credit where it's due. Really solid from him in the mid game to take Hooper out of the game like that.
Yeah, that was solid.
The key was also pressuring with Lopunny so that he couldn't beef up for free. That was...
I do think that this was really just a game where it was like the better prepper won, because no offense to Monster, but I thought Fix prep was just a little bit more innovative, I guess.
Yeah, as well, I didn't see too much that was actually able to take on Megalop, which was another key point. Like, once everything had a bit of chip on it, Megalop was just able to break things down for him.
Yep.
It just wasn't the defensive bring, especially after Skarmory went down.
And Zeraora both, I think, in my opinion, the combination of them puts a lot of pressure on teams.
Yeah.
And I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got no further points on that. I think it was a great game by both of us.
Same.
Okay, let's go.
Great. So, in the next game, we saw the Heracross Almelo taking on the Belgian Blastoise, a game that ended 3-0 to the Belgian Blastoise in some pretty controversial ways, I think. The power difference in the teams was like super wide. Like if you looked at these two teams on preview, I think like people in the chat, in the live battle chat, were saying like yo, why have you brought like an RU squad against this OU team? Like, like
Yeah, I wanted to say this is like a game you basically want team preview because Showen just what are those ones?
Showen brought Clef
Trevenant?
and then an RU squad, but played it really well actually. Like,
Really impressed.
Mm-hmm. But like, it's so weird.
There were a couple of unfortunate dysfunctions in Showen's game though. Turn 22.
I think he overworked Clef, in my opinion.
He did. And then like made a couple of key mistakes around certain mons. Scarfed Starmie brought by the Blastoise. Showen could have gone to Clef to easily tank an Ice Beam and just healed up, done whatever he needed to, but instead decided to go into his Swellow and lost it. So, you know, got punished heavily for a mistake, and then turn 29, probably the biggest choke of the game. Nape gets choice locked into close combat, which would have provided Minior with a free Shell Smash and setup sweep, but Showen opted instead to go back into Clef, I think. And then the plays that came across subsequently essentially forced Showen to lose the game.
Honestly, the Swallow play, something to Swallow against Starmie, because he didn't know that Starmie was Scarf at the time.
Yeah, I suppose I can understand that.
Yeah, but like when you have Showen's team, you just want every opportunity to win, because when you have a team like that, the odds of winning versus that team are very small.
Versus the straight OU squad. Yeah.
Straight OU squad plus Starmie.
I do think that Showen could have brought some more high power threats. But the mons he did play around with were, you know, held their own, and potentially could have won had he not made the wrong decision and gone to Minior on the Infernape. It allowed Kieran Black to clean up the match, really, didn't it?
We did it.
Yeah.
So sure about letting Clef take the unnecessary Iron Head on
Me too.
the 20s or before.
Just
around.
it's as was said at the very beginning. Showen put a lot of pressure on Clef defensively.
Yep.
Just made it really difficult for it to tank all of those hits. But yeah, unfortunate choke. Hopefully, you know, Showen picks up, gets back in the saddle, starts picking up some W's, because I think he needs it at this point.
He better go yellow again.
He'll just complain of how he should have never been removed from yellow in the first place.
True.
All fun and games, Showen. All fun and games. Don't worry. Right. Any final points on that game, or shall we move along?
Showen, I do think you have to bring way harder heat if you want to win with that team.
Yeah. Or just don't choke right at the end.
That as well.
Right. Penultimate game from Blue Division saw the Brighton Bewears, coached by Evan, taking on the Golden State Wartortles, coached by Adam. A match that really did end up in the biggest of crushings, with a 5-0 victory going to the Brighton Bewears. 12-turn game, boys.
Oh my god, I have literally noted this down. LMFAO, Adam, you suck. Evan, congrats on the free win. Ultra Beasts are cool.
Man, this is what happens when your entire drafting strat relies on just flinch bullshit.
Yeah, he could have been a Scorcherachi to kill Cortana, but nah.
Like I say, it just becomes an easy to read strat once you get on versus a decent player that has cottoned on to the fact that you are objectively trying to bring flinch every single week.
Mhm.
And this is what
Honestly,
happens.
if he brought like freaking HP Fire on his Rachi and prepped better in general, instead of I'm going to flinch and win, then he might have had a shot. But he chose not to. So, rip.
Yeah.
He also choked first the Kartana, I feel.
Sacking half his team to the Kartana team preview was, well,
Yeah.
He sacked one half to Kartana, the other half to Nihilego. What can we say?
We can say Adam, get better and don't rely on hacks.
I'm sure he'll take that advice soundly to heart. Not. Right.
the rocks. Like, you had
Yeah, go ahead, Vic.
Blastoise onto Seismitoad. Like, remove those stupid rocks.
He was too busy trying to flinch the Seismitoad with Dark Pulse. Like, his entire strat just involves around clicking flinch moves. And sometimes paralysis moves, I'm sure he'd argue. But the strat's easy to read when you're a half decent player and you know that the man is just going to try and flinch every week for victory, so I think it was par for the course. It was just deserved for the Wartortles to take such a hefty loss in such a short space.
Yep.
Any final notes? Not that there were many in the first place. Because if not, we've got our game of the week for Blue Division. I will put it on screen for the viewers at home now. So our game of the week this week in the Blue Division saw the Detroit Teravolts, coached by Nacho, take on the Flint Tropius. No, stop calling it that. Flint Tropius. In a match that overall ends 4-0. So, again, does everybody have the replay up?
Yes, and I see an Illumisa on the screen, and a Munchlax.
Now, this Munchlax is the GOAT. Like, let's not let actually
Honestly.
see what this thing does. Like, it is pretty wild.
I know, and honestly, I feel like Munchlax is about to do more work than an Illumisa versus this team, just based on preview.
Absolutely. But anyway, if you see any turns that you want to call out specifically, just let me know and I'll skip to them. But I'm starting my replay in 3, 2, 1, and we're going. Turn 1, Delmise versus Decidueye, just standard pivot game. Munchlax comes in, doesn't care. Good double from Shiny back into his Decidueye and forcing the Coco out. It's just your average start to a game, really. Players scoring each other out. Nothing magical to about it.
Just the early game was really like, hey,
a bit of attacking what's in front to see like how the opponent reacts. That's normal.
Mowile coming in and just picking up a KO on the Delmise as well. Because,
I really don't feel like Nacho played like, oh shit, he has a Mawile, so I got to let him pivot.
Yeah, it seemed
Not
like
at all.
completely left out of his plans. Because, like, turn 9 he has to take a good chunk of chip on Victini as well for it.
I honestly don't feel like he prepped for Mawile at all.
Yeah, or maybe he was just planning to play like aggressively around it and just focus on trying to outplay Shiny rather than out-prep the Mawile. Because I don't think there was much on his draft that was tanking the raw firepower of it.
Honestly, I don't know why Illumais doesn't have like some kind of status move. Does it get some kind of status move to hit on the Mawile?
It gets Thunder Wave, but you're not really. The only thing you're playing for is full paralysis.
No, I don't get why Illumais is here at all.
Turn 15, I want to make a quick note. I get why Nacho made this play. Turn 15, he overpredicts and goes for the crunch, expecting either Decidueye or Mew to come in.
Yeah, but it's a huge miss, like regardless, because this thing is just destroying you.
Yeah. but it's a super bold play to take, and unfortunately it costs Zydog to be caught by a Sucker Punch and lose pretty much all of its HP.
Yeah, in a scenario like that, you really need to just think about the risk versus reward, and in my opinion, the reward of clicking 1,000 arrows is way bigger because it just hits so much on his team.
Yeah.
And even after that, you can just click Crunch versus the Sidrai.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it
I mean, I
does
think
have...
Yes, it was
might have been
choice.
yeah, it was choice locked, so it was a prediction that he had to
Oh,
make,
it was.
unfortunately.
Never mind.
But, you know, unfortunately it was just one of those plays that didn't pull off.
Yeah, sometimes those happen.
Turn 19. Take a look at how much damage that Blue Flare did to to a Munchlax. A Munchlax legitimately took 15% from a fully specially offensive Victini. And then
If he didn't get burned, he actually just
killed it
freaking
right
did
there
as
with-
much as
with
the
a
Blue
Pursuit.
Flare. That would have been wild.
Trap Munchlax was
Yeah,
really good.
Pursuit Munchlax was such a good tech bling from Shiny Spam.
Even me say
Have a
for
big
1
team.
point, Munchlax for 2.
I think Munchlax was 1 in the draft.
It was, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it
We
needs
should
to-
make that for next season.
It does need to go up next season. This was an oversight.
Definitely.
Because that thing is certainly really cool to bring in a niche scenario.
Munchlax for 20 points.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Turn
It
24
only took freaking 41% on turn 25 from 1,000 arrows. Like, God, hello?
Turn 25. I'm not too sure why Shiny opted to sack Munchlax to the Zydog when Decidueye can kill this with Shadow Sneak. I don't know, it seemed a bit suboptimal and cost him an extra mon essentially.
True.
But the game is pretty much over by this point. He was just playing for differential decisions.
I guess he didn't want to risk like a double crit.
Yeah.
And that's fair, honestly. Like, a 4 is still a really good differential.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was quite interesting to watch and proves why Mega Mall was cost so expensive in points.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have a problem, that's it.
But yeah, I think those were all the points I wanted to cover. Like Garchomp didn't even need to take the field this game. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was a bit one-sided due to that one costly misplay from Nacho's end with the Zydog. But you take those 50-50 chances, and sometimes they come off great, and sometimes you get punished, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But yeah. Any further points from either of you guys on that game?
Should not have
really
been
good
the game
game.
of the week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe there was a better game of the week option out there, but the people voted, so right,
Yeah.
and we are a democracy here in Red League. We respect the views of the people, and the people wanted to see this as their game of the week, and we are more than happy to oblige.
Okay.
So yeah, if there's
And this is why I put in a ton of work. Impressive.
Decidueye, yeah, it did.
Yeah, that thing's really impressive.
Yeah, that's just a great matchup overall.
Yep. Great. So, shall we move into the yellow division then?
Yeah.
Great. Just take that off screen. So, moving into the yellow division. Our first game saw the Vancouver Milotics take on the Blackburn Snovers. So that's TV versus the Blackburn Snovers. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm not going to
So,
dwell over trying
Ciao.
to... Joe.
Ciao.
He left a comment on last week's REDCast saying, I dream of the day when Reg can pronounce my name correctly. And I'm like, I dream for that day as well. I just need to learn how to
Dream on.
pronounce it.
How to pronounce AO in Brazilian Portuguese?
Yeah, that's a video that's been circulating around around the Discord. But anyway, Vancouver Milotics versus the Blackburn Snovers ended in a 2-0 victory to the Vancouver Milotics. Obviously, the big talking point in this game was turn 4 T-Bolt crit on Mega Mawile. Huge offensive loss to Snovers lineup.
Yep. That just kind of was like, oh, yeah, I lose now. Woohoo.
Then on it's basically Cresselia being really disgusting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe he was like some substitute or something in Coco, and I really thought he should have a full switch on Coco when you're versus Mega Mawile.
Yeah.
Like that was my main issue with Coco this game.
I don't know. It felt like suboptimal. I actually took a look at TB's sets before he played, and there were some questionable brings from him, but you know it all works out in the end, I suppose, with a little bit of luck. The rest of the game felt pretty standard, I guess. Snovers just couldn't really get back into the match overall, and I think tilt played a big factor in this, because I think in a lot of in the post-game discussion, I think we all came up to the conclusion that if Zygarde either Dragon Danced once or twice instead of straight out attacking the Cresselia, he still had a pretty good chance to win. But unfortunately, it's hard to see the win cons when you're on tilt and you're assured in your own head. So
yeah, true. I also felt like there was a really big lack of like taunt and toxic for the Cresselia, because you really need those moves to deal with it.
You need the stall-breaking moves, really.
I didn't.
Mawile.
Yeah, I guess you want a Mawile, but in my opinion, you really need like a backup. Because we are playing Pokemon after all.
Things happen.
Unfortunately, you can't always fit that into a squad, but yeah, I can definitely see the point that a Stallbreaker would have been really nice as a backup handle for the Cress. I just think it put Joe on tilt and ruined his chances.
Well, Core also did a lot of work. Between Miltank and Cresselia.
Oh yeah.
They did.
TB's defensive core is absolutely 100% disgusting. But yeah, unfortunately,
Cresselia is like the kind of mon that what has the opposing team that really destroys my whole team, and then you bring Cresselia with a EV spread to stop it.
Yeah,
pretty much
how it works.
Actually, credit where it's due, did well to recover the game, getting good chip using Diggersby onto Cresselia to try and set up for Zygarde enough.
Yeah.
But
Tilt's
the worst enemy of the player. But still, a decent game, barring that one bit of unfortunate hacks. Pretty standard otherwise. But you know, it's just a game we play, isn't it? I think that's the ever so famous saying these days. So
really important to know how to adapt when something happens like that T-Bolt crit.
Yeah, for sure.
Complete your game plan, and try to have some backup.
Yeah. So, any final points to make on that? Unfortunately, like the entire game was just overshadowed by that one T-Bolt crit. It was certainly game changing.
Yeah, after that he just tilted, because if it wasn't tilted, you, in my opinion, really could have won.
Yeah, for sure. So, no further comments?
No. Nope.
Great. In that case, we will move on to our next game, which saw the Tulsa Excadrillers, coached by our currently present Lord Zeden, taking on the Carioca Krooks, coached by El Birabon, who should have been here today, but unfortunately can't make it due to the working out time issues, unfortunately. So it would have been nice to have you both on the cast to maybe discuss the game, but unfortunately we'll work with one of you. The game ultimately ended in a 2-0 victory to the Carioca Krooks. Thoughts on the game, Eden? Was there anything you want to say before we dive into the notes of it all?
I'm sorry, Beckham's. I'm very sorry.
I think everybody who was like favourite to win this week can say that.
It was like 9-18 and it was.
You were heavy favourite.
Oh wow! And I also choked. I recognize that fully. I choked hard.
Turn 4, I think is the big one. So Steelix, Cops and Earth Power gets a Spadef drop, and then your response of switch was your Mega Latios, which took like an ice beam to the chops.
Yeah, that'd be my main misplace. It's like, hey, Mega Latios, this is a really good mon. Let me sack it every week.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Just felt like a really big struggle for you after that point. Manaphy did some hefty damage. Was that like a Specs Manaphy? What set was that? Hello? Zeden?
Some technical troubles. So if I'm allowed to make a point
Yeah, go for it.
that after switching in Sylvalis Steel onto Kieran Black, both, it's not that great of an idea because Earth Power.
Yeah.
Steelix and Sylvari are weak to Earth Power. So maybe a better idea would have been to switch in the Landorus, which I know it's his win condition, but he was really sure on him clicking Fusion Bolt.
Yeah.
Could have been a better idea.
Well, I mean,
Certainly not Latios.
Fusion Bolt still hits. Still hits
Forgot about
Landorus anyway
Teravolts.
because of Teravolt. But yeah, Manaphy did hefty damage to Biri's lineup, but ultimately it wasn't enough after Lati goes down, and he's just able to press the buttons he needs to win. He doesn't have to do anything fancy or aggressive after that. He doesn't have to like go out of his way to make like a make or break prediction. He just sort of cruises it along to the end. Zeden, on the other hand, just wasn't able to get back into the game, unfortunately.
There was also one prediction I saw later on, which was bringing in Venusaur.
Oh, you're
Or
back.
not, maybe it was a predicted Hyper Voice, but had no business Hyper Voice and went Psychic everything.
Yeah, but at that point you kind of stuck into a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. I think this match is a great example of how can you pretty much play the worst possible in a great matchup, because matchup wise I think I had a great one because my sub sweepers were just amazing versus him. However, I did not use that well.
Yeah, but I think
Sometimes happens.
It does.
it's just like the curse of like a new team. Like when you're using mons that you're not used to, sometimes it takes a while to break in, which I think is in your case true.
Yeah, I only am familiar with like 2 of these mons.
You know, it's like Biri started out like really well and has now cemented himself into being like a pretty good early looking dark horse. So, you know, I think the next 2 or 3 weeks will be the real tell for how the team works. I think after this you went in and made some trades as well, so those will be covered next week, but I don't know. I just think like that one misplay was really unfortunate for you, and then you were just like too far out of the game to get back.
The team with Scarf, Infinite Neighbor, which I think was the set on Priority and Kieran Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that Assault Vested Kieran Black I really was not expecting.
Oh, was he AV?
He was AV, and that was just like, are you kidding me, man? The one fucking set I did not want to see.
Wow. Out prepped, and then unfortunately mistakes cost. Unfortunately.
It's not even necessarily out prepped. I feel it was just a set I didn't want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
And threw me off a little bit, but I adapted to some extent, but then I choked. So, yeah.
Yeah, you did a nice try to get him back in the game. The position was really hard.
It was.
So, credit where credit's due.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. no final points to make from me, unless Vic's got something to say. But
No, nothing else.
great. Then we'll move on to myself, the Detroit Enteis versus the Royal Thai Greninja, coached by Zaffa. A match that ends 0-2 in favour of the Royal Thai Greninja. Oh boy.
You love this game, don't you?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I like Substrike this game. It's actually really cool.
Zebstrika was like really good this game. Like his set, the Magnet Rise set, like I cannot fault to a T. Like it was such a good bring, and because like I'd barely ever seen a Zebstrika play in the game anyway. I didn't even know it got Magnet Rise, so I got teched on and
Prep harder, man. Prep harder.
prep harder. Yeah, so I was obviously a bit miffed about this game because of one key bit of hacks, which is my Crocodile getting froze. But there's some key points that I want to make personally before we get to that. The first thing is that Zaffa dominates early game because he gets the one lead I really didn't want him to get. My intention was to anti-lead Mamoswine with Kartana to avoid him getting rocks up and just potentially do heavy damage to it.
Were you like Sash or something?
No.
Oh.
But it's not like I needed Sash to stop rocks going up.
I mean, Focus Sash Mamo.
Focus Sash Mamo would kill Focus Sash Kartana anyway because it's got priority.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
And yeah. So yeah, he counter leads my counter lead with Arcanine, which is really great, and then he gets all the status he needs off. He paralyzes the Crobat, which was like more of an inconvenience for me than it was a problem. Because the Crobat was super bulky anyway. It was only there for convenience to outspeed Latias. It didn't need all that speed. But Toxic on Gastro was super annoying. And then obviously
Instant Scalp Burn.
Yeah, that's later in the game. Obviously the key point of contention is like the Crocodile being frozen by Ice Beam from Latias. There's no denying, I think, from any side that it changed the way the game was going to be played. Because with Krooks still alive, I still had an assured Revenger to Zebstrika. But leaving Krook in to tank that Ice Beam was an absolutely whack play. I think I must have been out of my mind to let that thing take damage instead of scouting for the coverage that Latias actually had.
To say that, keeping Krooking when it was that important was...
Yeah, it was a stupid play. Like, I'm not going to make any, like, I'm not going to sit here and make a case for like, oh, the hacks absolutely mattered. Without it, I would have won. You know, there's no telling how that game could have turned out if the hacks hadn't have happened. But I made some really stupid mistakes, and Zaffa just knew what he was doing from like turn 1 to turn X. So yeah,
Zaffa has he had the game plan and he conducted it perfectly. And yeah, he got like maybe a bit of luck, but he still knew how to use that luck to his advantage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
just
props to him.
Props, yeah, full props. But I've got no further comments. If anybody else has points to make on it.
No, pretty.
I wanted to say that the opening turns were like perfect for Zaffa.
Oh yeah,
completely.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
just the perfect run. If I was a braver man, I would have maybe left Kartana in to SD on the Arcanine, but I'm not that brave a man.
Not a lot of people can claim that.
So yeah.
It's not about being brave, it's about having
just having the balls to make that prediction, but I didn't. So, and it would take a very brave man to risk such an important part of his team like that. So yeah, don't know, is what it is. Good game to Zaffa.
Dangerous.
A game well deserved. Right. Any final points
Not really.
Not really.
Great. Then we will move into our next game, which saw the London Garchomp take on the Pittsburgh Magic Guards. So that's Spexcrange versus Recon Jack. A game that ended 2-0 to the London Garchomp overall. Turn 6 burn on the Garchomp. Kind of costly for the Magic Guards. Valuable win con. Kind of crippled.
Oh, fuck it. I took notes for the wrong game.
Oh,
Amazing.
I know there was a lot of mix-up this week between like games being played early and late, and
Yeah, my bad.
unless I'm the one reviewing the wrong game, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in this case.
No, you're not. I think, anyway.
I'm pretty sure.
No, I think this is the correct one.
Yeah, it is.
No, isn't it King versus Lonely? Or...
No, that's next
King
week.
versus David. Recon Jack.
Okay.
King versus Lonely is next week. But it was played early because I think Lonely was
Boat.
go on holiday or something.
E-boat.
Or they just prepped really early in general and played very early. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, turn 6, burn onto Garchomp, costs Pittsburgh Magic Guards a really valuable win con.
Hard hitter.
Yeah. Turn
Because
12,
King really has no really good switch-ins to Garchomp.
I mean, Celesteela, but I suppose with like SD and Firefang, it's...
You could just hit with Fire Blast.
Well, Celesteela's usually got the investment to be able to tank that, because it's pretty bulky on
It
both
does.
ends.
That's true.
So usually you'd need SD to be able to dent it over 50%. Or be like full special maybe, which is whack. Turn 12.
Just options.
The preceding turns before it, the Explosion Bronzong, the Explosion Trick Room Bronzong into Vikavolt, I know had some very polarizing opinions. It got slated a little bit in the power rankings this week for being like really suboptimal. I don't think it was bad as a momentum play, personally.
I don't think it was bad, I just think he should have waited longer.
Yeah,
I think those kind of plays really can make games.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
they're like the surprise late game strat.
Yeah, if this was endgame, David would have just absolutely obliterated King.
Yeah.
Because late game,
Maybe waiting
you
a bit
are
to
not
execute
doing
that.
anything to fight Volt. When your King just had most of his monster alive, and he could just kind of play ballsy around it like he did with Hydreigon.
Balls.
I don't know. Not a great deal to say. Things sucked, but like turn 12, Vikavolt was doing some great damage, but then like King pulled like an excellent prediction out of his arse, catching Hydreigon with a Thunderbolt instead of a Bug Buzz, and got a slower U-turn off into his check for Vikavolt. And after the Trick Room went down, Recon just had like no way of really sorting out King's team. And I think it was like a pretty easy cruising from there.
Because Vikavolt was the main answer for Celesteela.
Yeah.
Like the way to destroy Celesteela, and once that was gone,
I think
that's
after
problems.
that, like he was just playing the U-turn game with Victini, just trying to chip away at Clef and Starmie constantly.
He was.
And then endgame Trick secures it, stops Clef from recovering, forces it into attacking, and ultimately ends the game.
Yeah, once you had a clear path to victory, King followed it and did well.
Yeah. I really think this game also showcased how Kang is very meh. Because David just could not do anything. Like, even a +2 Thunder Punch is not killing Sully.
Yeah.
Granted, it is a Sully,
King's
but...
core is dangerous. But
Very dangerous. Anything with Celesteela in it is extremely dangerous.
I don't know. I feel like David's picked up a pretty weak team this season, so I think it's going to stop David performing. Oh, sorry, Recon Jack performing to his full potential. But yeah, I think he did what he needed to win. I think he won comfortably because of it. Had no real problems with the end game, and just made sure that Clef couldn't recover.
Yep.
Great. Any final points?
I would have loved to see Trick Room Starmie into Vikavolt.
Ooh. Yeah.
That would have been extra spicy.
I think if you're gonna bank that hard on Vikavolt being your main answer to Celesteela, then I think you really and you're gonna do it via Trick Room instead of Agility. I think you've really got to go for the full Trick Room team to be able to pull it off properly.
Fair enough.
I just don't think Bronzong being Suicide Trick Room was enough, unfortunately.
Tapir pull it out of his mind before, but it was much later in the game. Not.
I also kind of wonder in general why he wasn't Agility, but
I think it's because it can still be outsped by some Scarfers, whereas Vikavolt under Trick Room is like literally the slowest mon on the field and therefore the fastest mon on the field under Trick Room.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more, I guess it's more security temporarily, rather than banking on your opponent not having a fast Scarfer. It also doesn't beat or totemize Celesteela either, because Celesteela I think is naturally faster.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So there was a couple of reasons I could see. I still think Agility was the better bring for David's team though, overall. But
yeah, but that's all I have to say about this. Shall we move on?
Yeah, can do. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pincers, coached by Jay, taking on the Lowell Spinder, coached by the One Lonely Cow. A match that ended 3-0 in favour of the Lowell Spinder.
Oh god, this game.
Yeah,
it's like, hey,
this game is the very definition of why you should prep properly.
Yeah, this is like, hey, let's have the team with no ground resist or immunity versus the team with no barrier resist. Yeah. What can possibly go wrong in this game?
And I think
what went wrong with this game?
I think it went wrong for Jay, unfortunately. Doug Trio not outspeeding Kabalion, really big problem. Like, very.
Yeah, messing up the nature sometimes happens.
This is why you should always double check your shit.
Especially versus Lonely.
Yeah, Adascarf Landorus was absolutely brutal. Just tore holes in Lonely's squad. Jay had no real answer for it at this point. Like, Ferrothorn was taking like 40+%. It just had no way of tanking repeated hits. This was a really bad week for Jay to drop Gliscor.
Yeah, he should have
turned 12 around.
Later.
I'm not too sure on staying in with Ferrothorn against Rotom, because Ferrothorn is literally the only thing that can stand up against Landorus. So you want it as healthy as possible.
Yeah, letting it take unnecessary chip is a pretty bad idea.
He needs the Will-O-Wisp, but if it hit, he'd be in deep trouble.
Yeah.
You.
I think Jay should have definitely brought Scarf Lele, because that would have given him a much more offensive chance. I think it's definitely a prep oversight on Jay's part, because like there's just nothing on Lonely's team capable of absorbing, you know, Choice Scarf Moonblasts, and then later in the game Choice Scarf Psychic Stabs. Especially under terrain. Like, all he needed to do was remove 1 or 2 mons, and then he just had free reign to click the buttons. I don't know, it feels like a pretty big oversight from him.
It was, for sure.
But yeah, unfortunately there's nothing more to say on it, because of just the unfortunate issues with prep, and it felt suboptimal. And Jay weakened his squad to the wrong person at the wrong time, and then just didn't check his prep properly, and it just went all wrong.
Yeah, I think this was, for Jay at least, the week of lots of oversights.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see how he goes on from this. See if he finds a way to remedy issues that he's clearly got with his draft currently. Because at least, I mean, at least his speed tiers have improved a lot. It's just now, like, having a ground resist or an immunity is so important for any draft now. And he's just lacking it, and I think he's suffering a lot because of it. Right, any final points on that game then, before we move on?
Nope.
Really?
Right, final game and game of the week. This one will be fun, folks. We have the CLE Legends, coached by Nathan, taking on the Toronto Bidoof, coached by Perp Derpy. So, have you both got the replays up?
Yeah.
Cool, so we'll start through. Just tell me at any points you want to stop and talk about.
Go.
Game starts pretty standard. Aselgor versus Registeel. It's just two leads. Rocks and spikes go up on either side. Like just your average start to any hazard lead game. Zapdos comes in, catches a Toxic. The block play that we see here is a pretty neat play, trying to trap the Zapdos in. I guess maybe it's suboptimal because you've got to rely on the fact that it doesn't have U-turn,
or Volt Switch.
Or Volt Switch, which spoilers this thing does.
I honestly don't get why it was there at all, because what would it have done? You would have had to rely on...
was a huge problem, so I understand who wanted to do something about it.
Wanting to trap it for sure, because it did wall like the majority of this team.
Look, I understand why you would want to trap it, but I don't quite understand why you're then just completely dismissing reality, pretty much.
Yeah. Because it always will have some sort of pivoting move. Well, I mean, I suppose maybe if it's,
Like 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Because Zapdos is a really big 4 move slot syndrome.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest out there.
True.
Been banking on that.
I have the game paused at turn 9 because I think this is like a suboptimal choice from Nathan's squad at this point in the game. So from turn 9 proceeding into turn 10, we see that this Metagross is actually like Agility, Life Orb, and Perp has like exactly 0 answers to this.
Yep. I have so many problems with that play. First off, he leaves 2 of his mons at like about 10% in Aselgor and his Zapdos, and then he goes into one of his biggest win cons.
And lets it take 50% before it can set up. To me, at this point, I would have probably sacked Aselgor and then gone into Metagross, let it only take 25% plus rocks. Well, it's not 25%, is it? It's whatever. It's 30% from the seismic toss.
Setting up was too early. A lot of things.
I don't think it was too early. I just think he did it in the wrong way. Like, because he went hard into it, it caught rocks damage. It caught 1 round of seismic toss, which does about 30%. So you're down to, 60%. And then it catches another seismic toss as it tries to set up. After it starts attacking, it's always going to be taking Life Orb chip. Whereas if you're at, 60% instead of 33%, you get so much more mileage out of Metagross just being able to click buttons versus this team. Like, this could have ended the game like 5-6 turns in, potentially. Because Perp had 0 answers for meta.
freaking is such a big joke, and I don't like the play at all.
I just think like his execution of setting Metagross up was just unfortunate, and it could have ended the game a lot sooner. He then switches it out, leaving now a third Mon at like unusable range. So Metagross, Zapdos, and Aselgor all super weak as he carries on the game.
Oh, by the way, I do think the Zen Helpless flinch was pretty unfortunate.
Well, I mean, it was pretty unfortunate for Perp because he would have revenged it there and then. But I suppose, you know, he would have still been revenged, but
a little less hard.
Yeah, it was a little easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And it would have gotten more momentum.
Father is something useful.
Turn 20 feels like another suboptimal play. Ice Punch on the Seismitoad.
Maybe he was trying to catch the Thunderous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's a bit too wild.
But like, is Thunderous that big of a deal when it's coming in to take 25%?
Yeah, that's why I think it's too wild.
And you've got 2 sacks in the back because Aselgor's no longer doing anything for you, and Zapdos is doing very little for you. So you've always got 2 secure sacks to get in Lop, or whatever your muck set is to revenge or set up, or whatever you need to do. I'm also a bit confused as to why like this Seismitoad just wasn't carrying Scald.
I thought it was like a 4th move or something.
I don't know, but why would you spam Earthquake versus a Piloswine if you're carrying water coverage?
I thought it was just over predicting the Hoopa or something. Oh wait, it dies. Never mind.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I don't know. Like a lot of this just seems suboptimal from Nathan.
I think he choked.
He did a lot, like a lot. I also
Didn't
really
the
think that
Zapdos carry Roost? Because he had the chance to Roost up.
Yeah, it was carrying Roost. It was carrying Roost.
like it did that a ton versus Registeel, and I felt like he should have switched way sooner because the toxic damage just stacked.
What I want to say.
If you've got a point, go for it.
P2?
Hey.
Once he sacks his Excelgor.
Yeah. To the Focus Punch.
He later could have tried at least roosting.
Yeah. Do you mean on the Switch?
Oswald was really important.
Yeah.
So he had the chance to try to get some HP.
Yeah, he did, and I do think that's another misplay on his end, because if you give Zapdos the opportunity to get healthy, then it's super
stops
good
being
again.
a problem.
Yeah, it's super good for Thunderous, and it's a much more reliable check to Buzzwole.
Yep.
I mean, this talking from Perp's perspective, this Buzzwole set is absolutely like awful in my opinion. Like Focus Punch with no protective measure.
Yeah, I really don't get why he wasn't sub or something.
But even like Drain
Punch. Like when you've got enough defensive investment to take on low point.
Yeah, why do you need Focus Punch?
Helps a lot with your survivability.
I don't know.
And not being forced to rely on Roost, because that sinks a lot of momentum.
Also, I was really surprised that Nathan pretty much never chose to curse when he really should have, because he would have just won.
He did. Do you want to know what kept happening every time he pressed curse?
I know every time he flinched.
He kept getting flinched by
But like, he freaking poison jabbed the thing way too many times when he just should have cursed.
Yeah, there was option for that, I suppose.
Because like after you curse one time, you have to get haxed way too much to get to lose.
Yeah. Turn 34, he unfortunately gets caught with the Focus Punch 50-50, which pretty much costs him the game.
Yeah.
This Buzzwole surprisingly tanks Lopunny very easily. I was very surprised about how little damage Lop was actually doing.
I really wish it was something like an Encore Lob for this.
Oh yeah, that would have been super cool.
Sub Encore, right, Vic?
Yeah, that's the best Lopunny set. Completely.
It certainly did.
But yeah.
On a defensive meme.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
Easy.
Buzzwole is just able to continually roost up versus the Lop. It's having no real trouble tanking it. Nathan's not landing any crits. And then he's just able to press Iron Head to...
Yeah, Purple got so insanely lucky by not getting crit once.
Yeah, it did seem
And
like
getting
it
all the
should have happened.
flinches.
Should have been like a much easier a much higher chance for a flinch to have occurred for the amount of times that return was spammed.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know, a little bit unfortunate for Nathan, a mixture of bad hacks on key turns with Muck, but also like probably some suboptimal plays around Zapdos and Metagross that cost him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Buzzwole putting in the massive work I've never seen one put. Even with that set. Imagine if it had Drain Punch.
Imagine, man. I think it would have lost to Muck then, though.
Yeah.
I think Nathan honestly choked more than me versus Barry.
Oh. I don't know, I just feel like it was suboptimally done and it cost in the end.
Yeah, it was questionable play, but we all make these kinds of mistakes and play sometimes. You have to take risks.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
Just force a lot of switches, so... I mean, it's...
Yeah, go ahead, Vic.
Yeah, I was saying that Buzzwole forces a lot of switches, so... Having Focus Punch.
Yeah, I
but
suppose.
In my opinion, when the opponent has a low on it and you're trying to check low on it, you need a fighting stat that you can hit at the moment.
I mean, Iron Head did do over 50%, but I definitely agree. I think it certainly would have certainly been better for Perp to have just had Drain Punch. Felt like Focus Punch is so weird and unnecessary. But
It
yeah,
was odd.
I've got no final points if any of you guys have any.
Neither do I.
I think you guys also covered everything else I wanted to say.
Great. So that covers all of our battles this week. The one final thing to go over are the week 2 pick'em results, and it was a weird one. Image will be on screen for everybody to view at home, but I think pretty much everybody who wasn't Perp got kind of ruined in terms of PRs, in terms of pick'ems this week, because like everybody who was like what you'd expect to be the key favorite, especially in yellow division, just completely flopped. It was
And that is why I am the pick'ems crusher.
crushing everybody's dreams. Yeah, definitely week of the underdog, I think we can say this week.
Too early for pick'ems to really be... Because a lot of players don't know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's really kind of luck based, but later on in the season I feel like it's going to be more clear.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll improve.
Yeah, people are going to start voting less for me now.
Well, I think going into week 3, you still have the majority of votes. So
yeah, it's like 319.
So, you know, people still obviously have that faith in you, so I wouldn't be too disheartened. But anyway, I think that covers everything for this episode of REDCast. So, thank you very much, you two, for joining me. If you'd like to say your goodbyes.
Bye bye, and check out my channel because I'll actually upload.
Plug in the description.
Sure. Thank you for having me again. And it's
No,
been a
thank you
pleasure.
very much.
It's really fun to do this.
Wait,
Yeah.
holy shit. TP versus me is 222.
Don't lose then, because a lot of people have obviously put faith. But yeah, thank you both for joining me on arguably short notice. Much appreciated. Thank you to
No
all you
problemo.
guys at home for watching, and We will catch you for all of the Week 3 action in the next episode of REDCast. Until then, I'm your host Regenix, signing off.